Fathers of Nations, Paul B. Vitta. Foreword. Just that morning, guards had caught a man selling confidential documents marked for 100 eyes only. Nobody except the 50 heads of state who were attending a summit in the Gambia's capital of Banjul was supposed to see those documents. Later on the same day, the heads of state boycotted a ceremony that the Gambia had organized to mark the closing of their summit. According to the Gambian news, the boycott had nothing to do with the man caught selling confidential documents. Instead, the paper said the boycott was a result of bitter disagreement that the heads of state themselves had had earlier. No Gambian has ever admitted that the man caught selling confidential documents disappeared, never to be seen again. This is to be expected. Think about it. If you are a Gambian, would you admit that the man disappeared while your country was hosting 49 foreign heads of state? On the other hand, the boycott of the ceremony is altogether a different matter. Here you speak out. You reject any suggestions that the boycott of the closing ceremony meant that the summit was in any way a failure. The summit was a success, you insist, not a failure. Wait, says a dissenting critic. Everyone else thinks the summit was a failure, the critic claims. In fact, continues the critic, the heads of state themselves agree, if only in off-the-record remarks so far, that the summit was a failure. Care to respond to that? The critic asks. Before you respond, you swallow your anger at the critics first. Then you respond. The visiting head of state have done well to express the view that they have expressed, my friend. You tell the critic, look, we have freedom of expression in this country now, do we not? Is it not true that even visiting foreigners can now say, while on our soil, whatever they want to say? And do they not do this because all people, visiting kings and queens included, now have a right to say anything they please? Therefore, in speaking of failure instead of successes, the visiting heads of state were within their rights. Yet, my friend, you remind the critic, fair is fair. Having listened to them express their view, now listen to me express mine as well. Then, exercising your right, you review the summit to the critic in your own light, which of course only illuminates high points and blurs out all low points. And that exactly is what all Gambians did when the summit failed. They still rated it as having been the most successful summit ever held. They were looking at it their way. The story will look at it another way. What really happened at the summit?